Once again, racism inside of school systems, administration doing what? Not much. Look at this video.
What do you call Muslims? What do you call black people, Emma? What do you call Mexicans? What do you call Asians?
This is in Oregon, okay? Hundreds of Oregon high school students staged a walkout because not only due to the video, but also because the administration refused to make appropriate remedy for the insanity of racism in the school. Now, let me remind everybody, it's not complicated. Racist children, racist parents. Not complex, okay? All right. Information on the students' names not released. We would not do that here. In the video, the student appears to have fun while going over all the racial slurs for each racial group, while her friends enable the racist rhetoric. That's what you saw. Let's put up a picture of the walkout. These are called allies. These are called friends. They're not friends of the racist. They're not allies of the racist. These are the young people who will lead this country into a better reality. After the video made the rounds at Tigard High School outside of Portland, students of color and allies joined together and walked out of the school. Staged a protest. Good for them. NBC News interviewed some of these students who expressed their legitimate grievances. I don't believe it, a student said. I don't believe it. I was like, no way. Said Sean Sorkoram, a 17-year-old senior at the high school who was black. You hear someone say the N-word, you hear things here and there, but all of them together in one video. The best word I can use is flabbergasted. Sorkoram said she immediately recognized the girl in the video. They had passed each other in the school's front office before. While hearing those words come out of her mouth was a shock to the system, she said it was hard to be surprised. Isn't that sad? They have normalized racism inside of the school system. The student literally said, oh, I hear the N-word here or there. Now I want you to think about this for everyone who's listening to my show, all right? If you're an adult, you work in a workplace, do you really hear the N-word every day? No. You're not subject to that. But this student is. And the student is saying, well, I hear it, that's fine, basically. We have started to normalize insanity, to normalize evil, to normalize bigotry, hate, and racism. But these students are stepping up. High school and district officials they say they cannot comment on whether the student is still on campus, but noted that a range of punishments are explored in these situations. For hate speech, though, expulsion is usually not one of them. Racism in the hallways of Tigard High isn't uncommon, said the student, who has been called the N-word even in class. So according to the background, this school has a history of racism, all right? So let's get down to it. Friends have been followed home and called slurs in passing, according to the student. And many are too afraid to even say anything about it. What students are reporting are from their personal experience. Principal Brian Bailey said, and I quote, if we are hearing more reports of these situations, it could represent an uptick in hate speech. It may also be influenced by our collective and continued work to encourage students to speak out and report these incidents. Principal. It represents an uptick. You shouldn't have it at all. Kind of told on yourself there, didn't you? According to the superintendent, the bar for actually expelling a student is so high that mere racism, hate speech, they will not get expelled for that. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what the superintendent said. The students are saying nothing is going to happen, and that's exactly what it looks like. Attorney, what are your thoughts on this story?
I feel like it's an example again of how we fail our children. We whether it's school shootings or racism, we put them through things and expect them to tolerate it. There was the employee who just sued Tesla and won huge settlement, millions of dollars for a hostile work environment, essentially. This is clearly a hostile work environment for those students. How can they really receive their education when they're facing these kind of things? I did think though, it was beautiful seeing how many children walked out. This is a long haul, before really the schools addressing these systems, but there is essentially a huge amount of anti-Karens there. And I hope that the children who heard the racism, whether or not directly or from other people and were affected by it, know that they're not alone and they're suffering, and that their fellow students care for them. And sometimes that's the best we can do when we see somebody suffering, is just be there with them. And I felt like what those kids did, and good for them. And I hope they are an example for when, as we know, this is gonna happen again in some way and in some forum. And I hope the others kind of look out for each other like this.
Yeah, I'm very proud of these students. And I've always maintained that schools are not just places to learn academics or curriculum. Is also a place to learn how to develop socially, how to develop mentally, how to develop as you continue to interplay with society, the larger society around you. Well, these students, in my opinion, did the right thing in response to inaction by the administration and racism by their colleagues inside of that institution.